What's up, gang? It's Keg for Nuke the House Sports Betting here to preview the field for this weekend's NASCAR Cup Series race at Texas Motor Speedway, the Wurth 400. You guys know the deal, though. Nuke the House currently available on the OddsShopper Tales platform. We sell weekly and monthly NASCAR packages, which include subscriber and game betting shows all year long for every NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series race. You guys know I'm honest. It's been a rough 4 or 5 weeks, but we're starting to turn it around. Didn't lose any money last week. Picked up some money in the Xfinity race. Lost money in the Cup race. I was planning on more volatility in the Cup race. Didn't really do a video last week because of how crazy that race normally is, but there were only 4 cautions. But we move on. We're at Texas. We have a lot to get to in a short amount of time. A bunch of contenders in this race. So let's preview the field. Just got back to my house. Let's get this going. All right. Let's pull the odds up. Let's start with Willie B, the one and only Will Byron. Actually, we'll start with Larson. He's your odds-on favorite right now. I'm looking at DraftKings only, but you guys could look at any other book. Actually, let's look at FanDuel. All right, so Kyle Larson plus 370. He's your odds-on favorite. We talk about Larson every week at the top of the odds board because he's incredible everywhere. Best driver in the world, in my opinion. Obviously, not really going out on a limb there. While his results have varied this year, he's also had some bad luck. I mean, he was top 2 or 3 in speed on every intermediate over the last 3.5 years in the next gen era. When you look at his average finish at Texas, you see some names ahead of him that make you shake your head, like Ricky Stenhouse, like Daniel Suarez, like Ty Dillon. Here's the thing. Results don't always tell the story, right? I think that we can all agree there. Much like Ryan Blaney, we've been talking about that for over a month when it comes to Blaney. And the same could be said for Larson at Texas. He put almost 8 seconds on the field in the first stage of the race last year. Ends up finishing 21st. The year before, he finished the second stage in first place. Ends up finishing 31st. To me, Larson, one of the 4 guys I put in a tier above everybody else this week. We'll talk about the other 3. One thing to keep in mind today. Sunday. There have been 62 cautions over the last 5 years at Texas. On average, almost 13 cautions per race since 2020, which is an insane amount of chaos and an insane amount of volatility for a normal cookie cutter mile-and-a-half oval. It's wild. So something to keep in mind. This could get crazy on Sunday. Field could flip a couple times. Could get wild. So it's something to keep in mind at plus 370. Man, it's a sure price. You're going to have to time to something. Will Byron. For my money, Will Byron has earned the right to be your odds-on favorite to win this week at Texas. Forget about the fact that he's had almost 20 more quality passes this year outside of Josh Berry earlier at Vegas this year, okay? Forget about the fact that he's got the best average finish at Texas in the next gen era and that he's won here before in the next gen era. You just cannot argue with his speed. When I bet this sport, the majority of the time, I'm following the current speed. I don't care about what you've done here in the past, i.e. Brad Keselowski, who we'll probably touch on later. You need to be fast on track right now. And when you look at Will Byron and what he's done on conventional ovals in 2025, the only track he's been outside the top 4 in speed this year has been Martinsville. Second fastest car at Phoenix, second fastest car at Vegas, 4th at Homestead, fastest on the track at Darlington. Combine that with the fact top 3 in speed last year at Texas, at Charlotte, at Vegas. I mean, what are we even talking about? The kid is fast. He should be the favorite this week, in my opinion, regardless if there are probably a dozen other cars that can contend. Ryan Blaney, I put him in that top tier of 4 with Kyle Larson. We talk every week about how Ford is faster to start this year than they were last year. We've spoke about how fast Ryan Blaney is everywhere this year. Doesn't really matter what his past speed has been at a racetrack. The car is just different than everybody this year. It's the only car I have seen on a conventional oval in 2025 that can make a quality pass anywhere on the racetrack. How many people can you really say that about this year? When you look at Blaney's speed at Texas in the next gen era, you know, slightly below average at best. Don't care. He's been a monster at multiple tracks this year. He should have 3 wins on the season already. And while I wish he would have had more speed than he did at Vegas, I still have to treat him like the rocket that he's been all year. He might not finish the race. We know that. But how do you not assume that he's going to have race winning speed? At 10 to 1, the price is there. Put him in that. I put him in that top tier of 4. Tyler Reddick. Reddick, another guy, about 7, 8 to 1. I would classify as a top 3 car in the intermediate package since the start of 2022. He's been low key fantastic in terms of speed everywhere. He also hung 8 seconds on the field at Texas last year in stage 2, much like Larson did in stage 1. But the one thing that concerns me for Reddick and most guys on this track is passing for the actual lead. Everybody has had a tough time doing that this year. He's been no different. I definitely expect him to have elite speed. The 3 other guys that we spoke about, I would put Reddick as the last guy in that top 4. I expect him to have elite speed. The price feels about right to me. Hard to make him higher than 7 or 8 to 1 in general on cookie cutters because he's just too fast. Top 4 contender, in my opinion. Bubba Wallace will stay with 2311. Bubba has been so good this year. I don't know what happened to his speed last year, but he is much closer to the car that we saw in 2022 and 2023 than the mediocre speed that he showed in 2024. He's easily been a top 10 car this year, not even debatable on intermediates. And he's pretty much carried speed at every oval we've been to this year, with the exception of Phoenix. When you look at how fast he's been at Texas the last 2 years, he's averaged top 5 speed the last 2 races. When you look at his average finish at Texas in general, very strong. There are not many cars in this race I'd back before I got to 2311 this week, because the difference between Bubba and Reddick this year is much closer than it's been in years past. So, Bubba Wallace is, in my opinion, a solid long shot in that 18, 20 to 1 range. Alex Bowman, when you look at what Alex Bowman has done at Texas in his career, not been impressive. Finished outside the top 29 in 3 of the last 5. Problem is, you just can't forget about him because he's been way faster in the intermediate package to start this year than he was last year. He's been hit or miss, though, this year, but he was very fast at Vegas and Homestead. And Vegas is probably the best comp of all the tracks we've been to so far in 2025. So to me, Bowman, one of those guys that can show up with race winning speed. He can surprise, considering his odds 25 to 1. If he shows up, more than fair price. Chris Bell. For some reason, Chris Bell and Denny Hamlin feel like my wild cards this week. Bell's been really good this year. Like, overall, it's hard to know exactly where he falls this week. He was like 18th in speed last year in the one Texas race we had. When you look at what he's done on ovals in general this year, it's been crazy. Number one speed rank at Phoenix. Then he's outside the top 15 at Vegas. Then he's outside the top 24 at Homestead. Then he's top 5 at Martinsville. Then he's outside the top 15 at Darlington. So, like, he's one of those guys that can bury your entire betting card when he has it. But it's hard not to respect him considering, for my money, Chris Bell and Ryan Blaney are the two best guys in the sport behind Kyle Larson. My issue with him is the price. 10-1 feels a little short considering how inconsistent his speed has been. As far as Denny Hamlin, also feels like a wild card to me, but he's been way more consistent in terms of speed this year than Bell has. The one concern for Denny, he was top 7 in speed at every single track this year except Vegas, which, like I just said, is probably the best comp we have, considering he was the second fastest guy at Texas last year. My gut says he brings speed. But he was much faster at Vegas in 2024 than he was at earlier this year. So that's something definitely to keep in mind. 10-1, it's Denny Hamlin. I mean, how often are you going to get better than 10-1? Chase Briscoe, if we're being objective, I think it's fair to say Briscoe's results have been disappointing. More concerning to me is that he doesn't really have speed. He's another Toyota for Gibbs that, very fast some weeks, other weeks, nowhere to be found. Bad news for him this week is that he was not that fast at Vegas. Matter of fact, he was awful. Now, the good news for him, he is phenomenal at Texas. It's one of his better tracks. He's put up some very strong results in the past in inferior equipment where he's basically finished in the top 10 in every race at Texas in the next gen era. So he's a wait and see for me right now. Maybe get on him live, but had he looked better at Vegas this year, maybe I would have hit the button. Right now, wait and see. Chase Elliott has good consistent speed this year. Hasn't really had elite speed on any other format aside from short tracks. Aside from that, solid, not great. He's been better at Texas recently. He did win this race last year. He did flash the best fourth segment speed in that race last year. But when you look at his average finish in the next gen era, aside from that win, it's been pretty mediocre. The more I think about Chase, less I like him this week. I don't know. I feel like there will be faster cars on track this week, probably more than a couple of them. But do I think that the price is fair at 18-1? Yeah, it's fair. Josh Berry should be very fast at Texas. He was good at Phoenix and Vegas earlier in the year. Much better compared to how he looked at Homestead and Martinsville. If he comes with the speed he had at Vegas, he could be a real contender. However, it's a little concerning that he's only had one start in the next gen era at Texas. I went back, I looked at his Xfinity results at Texas, didn't blow me away. But he was so fast in this package earlier this year. 30-1, he's one of the long shots to watch on Sunday. No doubt. Practice and qualifying going to mean a lot for him. Trackhouse, last one. Actually, two more. I'm going as fast as I can, guys. Lot of info. Trackhouse, much like Josh Berry, who we just spoke about, Suarez, the other guy that was fighting against him for the win earlier in the year. He had substantial speed at Vegas. He was very good. The problem for Suarez is that he hasn't been good anywhere else. I mean, anywhere else, which is a problem. But, phenomenal here. He's won here in the next gen era when Trackhouse was very good back in 2022 and 2023, but then they lost it. His numbers here are undeniable, though. He's finished no worse than 8th in 4 of 5 races at Texas. Could be one of those tracks where he shows up out of nowhere. Chastain, another guy, been in the top 10 in speed at every oval this year but one. He's looking better looking closer to 2022 and 2023. He's been hit or miss at Texas. He's finished second in the next gen era here. He's also finished 32nd. But in that race, he did win the second stage, and was in a great position to make some noise. So Trackhouse could show up, and the numbers are fair. Roush Fenway, it's a wait and see for me on all three. I have to see how they look like in practice and qualifying, and that is the field of contenders for the Wurth 400 this weekend at Texas Motor Speedway. Come hang out with us. Use the promo code NUKE for a 1-week free trial at Nuke the House. We'll be live all weekend long on Nuke the House YouTube. Come check us out. See you Sunday morning for the props vid. We're out. Later.